My art journal entry, week 2. Let's sum it up. As I was working on the video this week and putting together the voice clips, I realized that I really wasn't enjoying the flow of how things were coming together. For one, I just had such significantly shorter voice clips than I did for video clips. So the amount of audio that I had just wasn't matching the level of recording that I had done, which means that I would have had to really cut down on my recording. And that's what I've done with the previous journal entries is I've just really edited down, really cut out a lot of kind of unnecessary shots to be able to fit the amount of voice recording that I have in a video. And I was just kind of thinking that I don't really like that. I think that I kind of want to try this a different way where I put the video together first and then watch it as I'm doing the voice recording. I'm still going to read the pieces that I have from my journal entries throughout the week and the summary that I kind of made from the week. But I think I'm going to read that in a live setting. Like as I'm watching the video live, I'm going to read it because the other thing that I started to recognize is that when I pre-record the voice clips, things just aren't really matching up with the video. There's so much more commentary that I want to make about the video and what I'm doing, and how the practice was going, that I just think that I'm not really capturing when I'm only including the journal entries. I do think that the journal entries are a super important part, so I'm going to keep those. I'm just going to try this a different way and see how it goes. I do wonder though if I should continue to write what I'm thinking about as I'm watching the video. Like maybe I should watch the video and write it down and then read the writing, because I do notice as I'm recording this live that I'm kind of like stumbling over my words a little bit more and saying a lot and things like that. I'm not sure. I think that when I write it and record it, it's a little bit smoother, and I'm not sure if this more like raw, rough draft form is more appealing or if the smoother form is more appealing. What I do like about recording this just like straight live though is as I'm going through this, I'm seeing like where the gaps are, and then I can go back and make more commentary to be able to kind of fill those gaps so that I'm talking through the whole video instead of having to cut out recorded clips. I'm just a little bit concerned about what the flow is going to look like with that process. If everything's going to kind of like flow together or if it just feel a little bit jumbled. This week I did a continuation of the lettering from last week. I was really just working on the letters for the welcome page and kind of practicing laying out the actual word welcome several times just to try to get a flow for it. I actually really did like how this page turned out. I definitely think that lettering is something that I want to practice more often. I think that I need to start incorporating it in some of my projects a little bit more so that I'm having a reason to practice it. As I was saying last week, there's kind of like a bit of a mental hang up with working on my lettering. So I think if I'm putting it into a project, that's going to kind of give me the push that I need to really work on it, kind of like it did with this practice page. And some exciting news though, my micro SD card and USB adapter arrived earlier last Monday, and it's making transferring videos to my computer from my phone a breeze. Like compared to the process that I used to have to go through. This new update to my equipment has made my process so much smoother so far, and it's really allowing me to focus on digital work like video editing 1 day a week and focus on building my skills in art the rest of the week. This is very exciting. It's a very exciting development in my little studio. So in the welcome page, the idea is kind of to make this like a cave opening, and I wanted to try to make the welcome letters into kind of vines. I mean, you'll see later when I get into the painting portion that didn't really work out. I did actually really like how the sketch turned out. Even more exciting news is the completion of the fairy painting. The painting I've been working on since I first started putting my little studio together in January. This is the first painting I've completed in over a decade. It feels great to know I have a finished product to show people when they ask what kind of painting I do. Of course, when I look at this piece, I still see all the growth that I have to strive for. But that is the greatest thing about beginnings. The possibilities are endless. I'm still finishing the short series for this painting, so you have to tag along if you want to see the end results. In the future, I'm hopeful that my projects will not take quite as long. I was painting this piece while simultaneously learning everything else, so my attention was pretty greatly divided there. Of course, I still have so much to learn in the world of filming, editing, and so on. With the system more ironed out now, though, my timing should start to smooth out as well. With the painting short series and my weekly art journal entries, I'm confident that I will be able to post twice a week on a regular basis with additional videos scattered in as well. Another little practice that I did in the middle of the week was a tutorial for staircases. I'm going to link the tutorial that I used in the description below if you're interested in that. I wanted to make the welcome page look like it was a stairway going up into the cave entrance, and I haven't drawn stairs in like probably 15 years, so I was having a hard time remembering how the shading works in that process. So I thought that this tutorial did a really good job of just kind of refreshing how to make that illusion happen. Just as a side note, I definitely want to remind people that when they are using a fixative, you need to spray outside. I sprayed this in my dining room next to an open sliding glass door, thinking that would be enough air ventilation, and it absolutely was not. I ended up having to open up all of the windows in our two-story house and turning on fans for about 45 minutes to get rid of the smell. So definitely spray your artwork outside. As everything is starting to feel much more attainable in terms of starting a social media and keeping up with it on a regular basis, I started to look at the future this week. I've reached some pretty big goals I set for myself over the last 3 months, and I want to keep that goalpost moving. I know breaking my big goals down into little ones and setting realistic expectations to meet those little goals is what works best for me. But I have to keep adding the next step as I am reaching the end of the last one. Otherwise, I might get comfortable and just let things drop. The next goals I am looking at for myself are registering an LLC, making a bank account under that LLC, and creating an Etsy. Etsy will be used later as I start making the brush sets and color palettes for my paintings. It is important to me to have a great foundation going into that step though, so setting up an LLC and bank account, while I won't really be using them right now, is just a part of that foundation. I've also thrown around the idea of starting my own website versus using an Etsy, but I need to do more research on that. Right about here is where my computer crashed last night, and I was not able to finish the video. By the point it had crashed, I was already so frustrated with the software that I was using trying to edit that video that it really wasn't worth trying to get back on and continue to work on something that was just making me more and more upset. So instead, I just kind of put it aside for the night and decided that I would pick it up today. Unfortunately, I did have similar issues with the software that I was originally trying to use. It just keeps crashing. It's Adobe Premiere Rush was the software that I was trying to use. I actually just switched over to Adobe Premiere Pro, which does seem to be running much smoother on my computer, and so far I haven't had any crashes. It is lagging just a little bit, but not nearly as much as it was on Premiere Rush, so I'm hoping if I can learn this program that will fix the major issues that I've had with the software and video editing so far. The trade-off of that is that I will have to learn an entirely new program, which is significantly more in depth than the Premiere Rush that I was using. The Premiere Rush is kind of like a watered down editing software, which I did really enjoy for the social media post. It made it pretty quick to just kind of throw things together and put it online. But the amount of lagging and stuff, I mean, it's going to be quicker for me to learn an entire in-depth program than it was to try to manage the lagging. So I'm back to learning an entire new program at this point, which I am ultimately okay with. I was planning on learning Premiere Pro at some point because one of the things that I would like to do in order to start making some income as I'm beginning this process is video editing projects for people on like Upworks and whatever. So it will be necessary to have this skill anyway. It's just kind of happening at a quicker pace than I had initially planned. I wanted to finish up some other learning curves before I added this one in. But it's actually not going too bad, and I think it is quicker to learn the whole program than it was to try to deal with all of the lagging in the other program. That's not to say that I'm recommending Adobe. I haven't used any other software program, so I don't know how it compares to other programs. This is just the one that I personally have access to, so it was the easiest one to get started with for me. This is at the point in the painting where I realized that I honestly didn't like where it was going. I debated before I started painting whether or not I wanted to paint it or if I wanted to sketch it out, and I honestly wish that I had gone with the idea of using graphite instead of paint. I think that I would have been able to accomplish more of what I had been envisioning in the beginning, but I mean, the whole point is to practice. So at least I got some shading practice in with the painting. I did hit a point where I thought about scrapping this painting, but you know, one of my goals is just trying to finish something in the timeline that I set for myself, whether or not I'm really happy with what the end result is. I'm trying to stop the need to have something be just like perfect and rather just kind of go through the process. So I decided that I was going to continue with it and just see where it went and just be okay if I didn't like it. I was just really happy that by the end of the morning I had reached the goal that I had set of having a themed practice for the entire week, which I did hit every day that week of practicing, and I had finished the piece even though I wasn't very happy with it. As I'm looking at the next steps for my goals, I'm mixed with a touch of fear and a lot of excitement. Just 3 months ago, I was still trying to set up my studio in a functional way and had only recorded short vlog style videos, which I never posted. I was literally whispering in those videos. I felt so unsteady. But this week, I overcame my first big obstacle and I am looking to the future now, and I can't wait to see what it brings. I am glad that I added the mossy green colors to some of the stones in this painting. I think that it did add a bit of depth to the painting, and a bit more shading. And I do like the colors together. I really like the dark greens and steely grays. I think that it's a good mixture. I think if I had more time, I could have made it more of what I was envisioning. I really want to work on shortening some of the techniques I use, though. I spend too long trying to make things perfect when I really am just stalling moving forward or trying something different out because of fear. So I'm working on picking a practice project for the week, and by the end of the week, it's just done. That's just the end. I might go back through this journal later and pick some of the projects that I did to make into a more elaborate painting. But for now, I really just want to practice kind of like hitting that deadline and meeting that goal. So I finished up the painting just a couple of minutes after the 30-minute timer went off, and I think some of it looks pretty cool. I think like the moss around the rocks was kind of good practice, and I think the stairs, the other picture that I did of the stairs, I think that that was great practice to kind of get that perspective in there. I don't know how I feel about the stairs in this painting, but I do kind of like the like roadway kind of like through the tunnel curving around. So I think there were some good practice points in there, definitely. It's time to take off the edging tape though, and I did use masking tape to do my edging. Normally I would suggest using like an art tape because it's less sticky and this is why. So this is the end result of my first themed art journal practice. If you stayed this long and you're interested in watching my skills grow, give me a follow.